Fluting is a technique used in armor crafting to make raised ridges that add strength and decoration. We enjoy using this technique a lot in our own armor builds. Normally this technique is used for metal armor crafting, but with some variations on the process, it can be achieved in leather, and it adds rigidity and decorative flair just as it would in metal. There is an art to it, and it's a skill that takes a lot of time to learn and master. That is, until I designed a tool that makes it effortless. Follow along to see how it's done, and I'll share how you can implement this in your own workshop as well. Hello everyone, this is Samuel. Welcome back to the Armory Academy. This is the fluting wheel that I designed to streamline the process. Here's a quick overview of how it works. First, we have to select the right material though. The important thing is to use a vegetable tanned leather. This will allow you to mold and shape the leather, and there are brands that offer hides that are specifically tanned with moldability in mind, like Herman Oak for example. Now we need to case the leather, which means we have to wet the leather and let the moisture saturate. Once the surface of the leather starts to dry and firm up, it should be ready to accept shaping. This is a metal bead roller from Eastwood. This model is called the 19-inch metal bead roller with the power drive system. It has the speed control with the forward and reverse. I'm working with Eastwood for this video as they produced the best version of the bead roller that I could find, and they have the motorized version available, which is quite the game changer. They have multiple sizes available. The deeper throats allow for wider pieces to be inserted, but I think 19 inches is more than enough. They even have an 8-inch version, but I think the deeper throats will give you more options. It is designed for use in working sheet metal, but it's also a perfect solution for this task. The bead roller is clamped into a common bench vise, and this vise is bolted into a sturdy work surface. The motorized version of this machine is just the cherry on top, but our initial prototype was cranked by hand, and it's still a wonderful time saver, and more affordable if you're already eyeing this for an addition to your own shop. It helps to have some guidelines of where you want the fluting to go. The handle up top controls the tension. The leather is fed into the machine, and the pressure of the die will force a raised ridge into the top of the leather. The wheel has a specific geometry. It's not just a simple crease. It's shaped in a way to try to maximize the crispness of the raised point, while also preventing the wheel from marring the leather. It's quite possible to run the leather through multiple times if you want to refine the lines or to deepen it. The hand crank version served me for a while. I just needed to reclaim some more time and energy. We have a lot of projects on our plate, so now I'm using the motorized version. The motor has a speed control. I usually keep it in the medium range to maintain good control throughout the process. If there's a lot of repetitive parts to do, we can crank up the dial and push them through at a brisk pace. The foot pedal on the motorized version makes so much difference. It allows you to use both hands to guide the leather through. The fluting can be applied to either side of the leather. You can either reverse the dies from top to bottom, or simply flip the leather over. We like to make use of creasing leather as a design technique just as well as fluting. I'll leave some affiliate links in the description if you'd like to check out any of the products mentioned here. And by the way, if you already own the STL for the first generation of the wheel, the new textured version will be included in your download soon for free. So how did we get here? The reason I decided to use a tool meant for metal fabrication is because most of the leather-focused tools for embossing leather with wheels are very limited. Some of the more common ones don't even have throats, so you can only feed in bands of leather like belts and straps, and no more than a couple inches wide, so you can't use them to decorate odd or large shapes. I happen to have an old Tipman embosser that does have an open throat, but I think these have been out of production for a very long time, and the throat's not very deep. On one of the earliest custom projects called the Griffin armor, I used it to emboss some knotwork on some of the parts, and we also used it fairly routinely for some of our stock products when we had a shop at the Renaissance Festival. But these days I just have it mounted to the side of our cutting table just in case we need to decorate a quick strap. Over the last couple of years with the addition of the Elephant armor project and the Berserker armor projects, I got to thinking it would be really handy if there was some way to streamline the process of fluting, because this technique is used in abundance on these suits. And for those of you that would like to learn the process by hand, we have demonstrated this process in our online academy if you're interested in learning how to do so. I think it's still very valuable and important to learn, but I decided I needed to come up with a way to speed things up. Luckily, around this time I was also getting interested in 3D printing and 3D modeling, so it wasn't too hard to design some prototypes and do some tests.
I'm working on a new prototype that'll help me make creases and folds in leather more efficient. The way it'll work is you'll put the leather in the anvil base. You'll take the chisel and strike it from the top to make a crease into the leather, or strike it from the bottom to make a raised flute. The idea will be to help make shapes like this a little bit more efficient and cleaner.
To make the embossing wheel, I used Bamboo Labs X1C. This has been a very reliable printer, and it has a lot of awesome technology to make the printing process very beginner-friendly. To make sure the wheel is extra sturdy, we printed at 100% infill. Is it overkill? Possibly, but it only costs a few dollars in filament either way. We released the STL model for the first version of these wheels a while back. I did initially try printing the embossing wheels in resin, but over time the sharp crease began to wear down, and I was surprised that my prototypes in PLA have had zero issues or degradation. I initially thought that printing with filament would cause unsightly imprinting due to the layer lines, but that hasn't been the case. Possibly that's just attributed to how fine the X1C can print. The layer lines are very nearly imperceptible. More recently I've developed a new version with some texture. This does two things. One helps grip the leather as you start pushing it in, and the second is optional decoration. You can mix and match. You can use the textured version on the bottom, which will help pull the leather through, and the smoother wheel on top, which will give a smoother result. And I'm also thinking on other designs for embossing wheels to add other decorative effects. We're looking at ways to potentially make this embossing wheel available for direct purchase, but in the meanwhile, the STL for the 3D printable file is available. You can find it at our online Academy store, but you may also find it as a free bonus on our Guild Welcome Pack. Our Guild is like our Patreon, where we provide monthly store credit and discounts for joining. We also cycle through various free patterns and other perks and bonuses, and your support helps us develop more tools and videos. Obviously, this is a very niche tool, but I don't think you necessarily have to be making fantasy armor to find a use for it. If you work with leather, you can use this effect in anything you make, and this embossing wheel lowers the skill ceiling required to achieve this technique. Even with this tool, I think it's still necessary to hone your skill by hand, because you will often want to polish the look manually, and there may be times where you can't reach the line with the embossing wheel, so you have to finish it by hand. But even so, this tool will take about 90% of the workload off your hands. If you've made it this far and you like our content, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe, and a comment for the algorithm goes a long way. Thank you. To give you some ideas and inspiration, you can see some of our past projects we're using fluting as well. One early example is the medieval Batman armor. The fluting was one of the main decorative techniques that was used. Sometimes this effect is used sparingly and more subtle, such as in the medieval Aquaman armor. The Asgardian Iron Man helmet. This also features some subtle fluting to help accentuate the shape. And take a look at the medieval Joker suit. Can you see where the technique was used? The jester spikes on the helmet use it. There's bits on the backplate that use it. The belts and sabatons use it. And the gauntlets as well. It made a lot of appearances in our Warlock armor. Can you spot the fluting on the Krypton helmet? We also used fluting in our Sauron-inspired armor. The Sapphire Knight is one of our signature custom suits, and it too features a lot of fluting throughout, and the additional shape helps to firm up the armor, making it more rigid without adding weight. And remember, this all starts out with flat leather. And more recently, our Berserker armor heavily features it throughout. This build is highlighted in our Prince Armory Academy, where we cover the whole process from start to finish. And with this much fluting work, you can probably understand why I decided I needed to develop something to streamline the process a bit. This is a rather complex suit, but from a decorative point of view, it's actually very straightforward, with just textured lines and fluting. There's so many other examples, but I think you get the idea. I hope these examples give you some inspiration. It wouldn't have to be armor. You can use this technique on anything that uses vegetable tan leather. You can use it on pouches, bags, quivers, accessory pieces, belts, even saddles and holsters. Why not? There are many ways to use this technique to achieve a variety of nice visual enhancements. Good luck with your projects, and let me know if you have any suggestions or requests for future embossing wheels. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Look forward to more builds and tutorials coming soon.